Hey, it's Michael here with Oilerslive. I am coming to you on Sunday night. It's 10 o'clock. As I said, I'd be starting tonight, have a little fun post Super Bowl, probably the most boring Super Bowl I've ever watched. And also after a back-to-back losses for the Oilers, in which they lost of course, in overtime, two disappointing games in overtime, one to Philadelphia and then again to Montreal today. Kind of three topics today. Maybe we'll talk about, and if you want to call in, I can set it up or interact with me on Twitter if you're around and watching on Periscope. You can go to periscope.tv, which is pscp.tv/Oilers Live. Already at Hockey Hunka says, let's talk Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, boring. It was, I don't even know what to say about that game. I was falling asleep. It was just was so, I don't even know. How do you explain that? There's no offense. In fact, I didn't even watch to see who got the MVP. So if you know who got the MVP, feel free to let us know on the Twitter feed. I got a Leafs fan in there today at DPEGs01 joined. Thanks, guys, for listening in. Really, you know what? As far as a sports weekend goes, this one sure really sucked. If you're if you're an Oilers fan, the two back-to-back losses and what could have been, even if we had pulled out a win today, really, I mean, that would have been 3 out of 4 points. That would have been acceptable, I think. If you spend any time on Twitter, you know how sensitive us Oilers fans are. So it was a bit of a disappointment, of course. And even maybe more disappointing to those that were watching, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this, was Patrick Russell was really kind of front and center on both of the overtime goals against this weekend. So I'm curious what your thoughts are there. That there's a lot of negative Russell folks out there. Don't count me in that group. I'm certainly not. That's not my thing. But in fact, yesterday in the Philadelphia game, I thought that it wasn't. Russell was put in a bad spot near the end there. Couldn't get the puck out. Probably could have done something a little bit differently, but then it was kind of two on one there. There was no hope that he could defend both guys in the end for that goal. But tonight, the Russell goal. Well, I mean that's a goal, or that's a defensive play that you can't let him get by you on that, right? I mean, you have to play him to the outside. It's all about angles, and we see Russell make that play a fair bit, where he goes for, I don't know. I mean, he's always seems to be on his knees, but you know what? I don't want to be negative on Russell. I liked Russell. Love to know your thoughts still on the Oilers. There's a lot of negativity. I mean, obviously, now the Fire Chiarelli hashtags are gone, and we've moved on as an Oilers group. We've moved on to the Fire Nicholson hashtags. So, go figure, right? I'm not sure that we could ever be happy. A couple other things tonight, of course. Super Bowl. Brady, 6th Super Bowl. That is... Yes, sorry, I'm going to go back here on the Periscope feed. At DPEGs01 says, kind of sad when a player gets ripped a new one. Every team goes through that. Could not agree more. I think, as we saw when both Russell and Clefbaum were out, Russell is a needed part of this team. He's not, he might be a fifth, sixth guy on some teams with other depth, but he's still a needed player on this roster right now. I think that he brings something every game. He certainly gets out there and gives it an effort every game. And I kind of couldn't agree more. It is kind of sad when he's the scapegoat every game, right? As soon as that puck went in tonight, I kind of knew. Expected to see the tweets about Russell. So there's Russell. We can talk about him. We can also talk about the Super Bowl. Of course, Tom Brady wins 6 with a rather boring performance, I guess you could call it. Everybody said before the end of the second half, 1 touchdown was going to win this thing. They were right. One thing I would love to talk about, though, is something that Oilers fans can cheer about for a change, and that is the Bakersfield Condors, who, as of last night, are on a 10-game winning streak, and we've got a hell of a team shaping up there. They are second, I think. I'm going to have to look at the standings, but second to the Barracuda, which, of course, is San Jose's farm team. I think that's great. A lot of young, promising prospects. But of note, Spooner, who we all know, has now had, I think, 4 points in 4 games since being sent down. Gambardella, who we've seen in the Oilers' colors this year, has... I think he's riding a 7 or an 8 game point streak, and so is Patrick Russell. He's riding a 7 game, and Gambardella is riding an 8 game point streak. So great work for those two. Other guys contributing. Just about everybody's contributing. Marodi's doing well, of course. I mean, we've seen he's got NHL caliber playmaking. I think his speed just needs to be a little bit better. All right, so we've got a lot of people. Looks like they're tuned in on Periscope. What I'd like to know is anybody out there happy that the Patriots won 6, and if you are you still happy about the way they won it? Let me know. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on there. And I'm just going to tune into. I've got this going live on a few different. Are you still happy about the way they won it? Sorry, hold on one second. You're going to get a little background here noise on there, and I'm just going to tune into. I've got this going live on a few different. Are you still happy about the way they won it? Sorry, hold on one. All right, there we go. Okay, I figured this one out. All right, so I've got a couple of different feeds going. Of course, you can stream live on YouTube. You can stream live on Facebook, Twitch, and most of you probably watching on Periscope today. At Hockey Hunka Jones, follow Jones. Yes, yes. I haven't said enough about Jones. You're right with Bakersfield. We should let's. I'd like to talk more about Bakersfield tonight because we've got a farm team that's doing something in Edmonton, and we're finally got a little bit of development going on that really hasn't happened in a very long time. We as you know, I mean, we've always had trouble. We do drafts. Anybody with a little bit of talent is quickly put into the lineup, and maybe we haven't given them the patience that they need. They just kind of they go by the wayside because whether it's a confidence thing or whatever it is, they we've just been pushing them too fast. And I've had one of our fellow. He's kind of an Oilers fan. I think he said the Oilers are his second favorite team at Sport Major. He always talks about the development of some of these teams. And I agree with him. I mean, you had teams like Detroit that for years were a constant developmental juggernauts, right? And we finally, maybe we're there. I'm not. You can't get too excited after 1 year, but we've got some good players there. We're developing guys like Jones and Bear and Yamamoto and Benson and Gambardella. There's just so many good talented players, and I think while he was part of the McClellan regime, Woodcroft has done a good job in Bakersfield, right? It seems like he's playing all the players and doing a great job in playing everybody. We've also got, of course, some goaltenders coming up, and these aren't even all the prospects, right? Like we talk a lot about all of these different things that are going on with this team in Bakersfield, but we've got guys like Maximov who are still playing in the not the Dubs or the OHL, and at Mutt Moyle, I can't say that. At MUT Moyle T. Sorry, I'm back. Who missed me? We all missed you, of course. Thanks for joining. Again, if you want, you can join in. There's a number of different feeds that you can join in on. One is on Facebook. The other is YouTube. There's Twitch as well, among other things. So there's all sorts of ones that you can go. Sorry, I'm back. You can go and watch live and chat and interact with everybody. At Hockey Hunka, Condors really show good progress with their players that were up in Edmonton. And you know what? You hit it on the head, right? I mean, you got guys like Jones that, while it was great to see him, and he was the only puck mover that we had on the team for a little while, he has done wonders, and can only do better if he's developed for a little while longer. At first I was sad to see him go. I'm a big Jones fan, but I just don't see any benefit in keeping him up. And Clefbaum's, maybe a game or two away. I haven't heard for sure if he's back Tuesday in Chicago or against Chicago, but I know they had thought he might be back for the weekend, but he wasn't, obviously. And Clefbaum's a guy will fill that gap. Let's be real. Playoffs are a distant shot for us right now, and that sucks, right? I mean, it's I think we desperately want the playoffs, but there were a lot of things we wanted this year as a fan base. There were guys that and women fans that were hoping for a loss game after game just so that we could oust Chiarelli. But we're there now, right? Mid-year, Chiarelli's no longer part of the picture. I want to see this team compete every night. At -824 says 8-1-1 with Clefbaum, and he's right. Once Clefbaum's back in the lineup, it is a different team. We just don't have, we really don't have the defense, though, without him in the lineup to take this team that much further. And, we need everything we can get. I think it would be great if we had a YEG Oilers fan, Tom Brady, as the GOAT. Yes, I don't think you can really debate that right now. Although he didn't play anything stellar tonight to earn that, but certainly won the game. He was better than than Goff. That's for sure. Or Gaff, whatever you want to call him now, because that guy didn't show up. Yeah, so let's get back to Clefbaum. I have a theory, and feel free to pipe in if you can. My theory is that this team, this Oilers team, and there's going to be some of you that are on right now that don't agree with me. But my theory is right now that this team is at least one puck moving defenseman away from being at least a playoff team. And what I think is this is we've got Connor McDavid, we've got Draisaitl, we've got RNH. Those guys, they're capable players with the type of talent that you can get away without receiving the puck on the rush. The rest of them just aren't. And if for any of you that have played hockey before, you understand that, and at Remanded says overall team speed is below average. I don't disagree with that, right? Like, I think that maybe we're not as fast as some of the other teams. But what I do think is that those guys don't have the talent to take the puck up the ice on their own. They need somebody to give it to them on the fly. And, but the reality is those guys just aren't good enough. And there's a lot of teams that have that same problem. It's not unique to Edmonton, but it shows up in Edmonton because we haven't had any puck moving defensemen for a couple of years. The 1 year where our top defenseman played the whole season without being injured was the year we made it into the playoffs. And we need. At David Truman 20 says Clefbaum is a much better D-man than he gets credit for. Yeah, and I think, David, I think you're right. Like, the reality is we have to have guys that can move the puck up the ice. I'm not like down on Darnell Nurse, but he doesn't move the puck quite like anybody on a team. He's a puck rushing defenseman, right? And so you have him. He's just not going to do it. We play him like a 3 or 4 guy. Larson, while he's good defensively and he's tough to play against, he doesn't move the puck up the ice. The only guy that we really have right now is Clefbaum, and yeah. YEG Oilers fan says, yeah, but he can't stay healthy. Well, that's absolutely right. And I think that, we haven't seen enough of Clefbaum to know if he can stay healthy yet or not. His last injury here, was a slap shot to the hand. I think that, anybody takes a slap shot to the hand. Well, they were talking about Gallagher tonight. What did he take? He's taken 2 slap shots to the hand, and he was out. It's just a matter of, bad luck, right, for Clefbaum, at least right now. I mean, we'll see. When he gets back from this one, if he's back and out again, then maybe I'll be on with you. David Truman says, Sekera would be nice to have. He can pass the puck. He can. And, I will, in my mind, right, like, this is the biggest thing we're missing, right, is really the opportunity to, at Plaxter says Sekera plays old and soft. Yeah, we don't know, right? I think that's the thing, is we don't know. And, yeah, he probably is done for. He's probably out. I can't see... when Sekera came back last year, he just wasn't the same. Anyway, I'm a little all over the place right now, trying to watch the chat. One thing, YEG Oilers fan says, Nurse is one guy we can trade and get better value for. What's your thoughts? I mean, you think we can trade or should trade Nurse, right? this is actually something that kind of bugs me a little bit too, because I look at Nurse. I'm actually I'm a fan, right? Like I like Nurse. He's anytime he needs to get into a scrap, he will, and certainly love the old time hockey. Love a little bit of the fighting and that goes with it, whether you like it or not. But and Braley says no, we shouldn't. But and I know a lot of people are going to say no. But what else do we have value? Who else has value that another team will take that we can provide that can get us an upgrade? And it's, I guess, and for who, right? Those are good questions. I don't have the answer to that, and I'm not. I probably wouldn't be the guy to trade Nurse if it was me, and I certainly wouldn't do it if I was an interim guy. David Truman brings up a good thing. So trading a good D-man on a team short of good D-men is the way forward? ? Well, this is this is the question, right? If you can trade him for somebody who you think brings the skill set you have, and this is a big if. I want to be clear. I'm not saying we should trade Nurse. I want to know what your thoughts are. But if we can. We know we've got Jones sitting in the wings. Maybe maybe there's some other D-men that prove to be worthwhile, that either come up through Bakersfield or however or wherever they come. Maybe Bear shows he's NHL ready, right? And then. We're talking Bouchard, but I wouldn't. How many of you would put Bouchard in the lineup for next year, knowing what you know now? I mean, Bouchard could come in and make it impossible to put him down, but into the AHL. But how many of you guys would keep him in the lineup next year and maybe take a chance to develop him for another season? I think. We're talking about having a good development system. Would you do that? At Plaxter said Bouchard looked totally ready earlier. I don't disagree. I think Bouchard did look ready. YEG Oilers fans, I'd give Bouchard AHL time first. That's another thing I might consider is definitely a little bit AHL time. Kind of get his feet under him, see how he progresses, and then go from there, right? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some questions there. The David Truman says, reality statement: they're not trading their way out of this mess. Those days are over. And I guess that's the big question for everybody is, is this something that we can develop our way out of? I think most of you would say no. I think we need to make one or two shrewd trades. YEG Oilers fan brings up a good point. We have also got Persson, who they signed to a 1-year extension. Who's doing some good things in the Swedish league. If you've watched any clips of him, he's pretty good. So we've got, it's not that we don't have, defensive depth in the system. I guess the biggest question that's going to be for us is, what is the who's going to really show themselves to be ready next year, right? And Hockey Hunka brings up a good point. Who's the coach and GM, right? It's a business, right? Who's going to be our coach next year? Is it still going to be Hitch, right? And if it is, what I'm doing right now, by the way, if you hear that beeping in the background, I'm going to. I don't normally run this show on my own. Generally speaking, I like to have a little bit of one-on-one conversation with people. What I didn't do today was log into the call-in line. So I'm going to do that. You're going to hear that, and then if you can, I'm gonna talk over it. You're going to hear the login. I'm going to talk over it, and then when you guys, if anybody wants to call in and have a conversation about the Oilers, the Condors, or get your thoughts on Tom Brady and the Patriots, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, just hold on half a second here. Let me get this.
Thank you for calling Collins to
straightened out.
enter your 6-digit. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface. Show recording is on dual channel.
There you go. That's the magic behind Oilerslive right there. Not too magical. All right, so I'm putting the number up there. It's 587-907-5483 if you want to call in. Love to have you. And please feel free to call in. It would be great to have somebody to chat some Oilers hockey, Condors again, if you will, talk a little development. So 587-907-5483. David Truman says, I think a winger with a bigger name will be signed in the offseason. This all comes down to, what does the cap actually go up to? When we know the cap's going to raise, is it going to be as high as people are suggesting? I think it's about an additional. I've heard anywhere up to additional 10 million, right? And this is nothing says pro like an answering machine on air. Yeah, I know. This is all pro here. And so back to that anyway. Yeah, we could sign somebody, but and YEG Oilers fan beat me to it. Where's the cap space to do that, right? We don't have it today, and that's to say, who's to say we're gonna have it in the off season? The reality is whoever comes in on this as GM. Right, and if Burke and Friedman and all these folks are right, then there's a long lineup of people that are going to be GM, or want to be GM rather, and whoever that is, it better be the best negotiator that we've seen in Oilers land, because you're going to need to do some deals that to get us out of this, right? You're going to have to, my guess is the right guy will find a deal for Lucic, right? And get out of the Lucic contract. Not fully, because let's be real, you can't get out of the Lucic contract. It's you can't buy it out, just the way that it's structured. And you're not going to be able to trade trade it out, but you could, maybe somebody takes a few million of that, and it's a little bit akin to a buyout of sorts, right? If you got the right guy and he's he's well connected, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you can call in 587-907-5483. I'd love to take your call, get your thought on this. Like, what do you need to do? -8, Cassian, our first or second and our fourth for Tarasenko, and the Blues pick up half his salary. Yeah, if the Blues wanted Cassian, I guess they'd probably want our first. Who wouldn't, especially this year? I wouldn't, unless if we're back in that playoff position by the deadline, which I would say no, then I can't see that happening. Does Cam stay? The word, what's his name from TSN that loves to seemingly troll Oilers fans from time to time. says Cam is currently working out a contract with the Oilers. I like Cam Talbot, as an Oiler, but I just don't think. I just don't think that what kind of a salary does he need to take to stay? I mean, it's you can't sign him for more than 2, I think, right? If if you wanted to keep him, you've got your starter that you have got at $4 million, right? So you can't do that. YAG Oilers fan says we'd have to give up Dry to get Tarasenko. You're probably right. I hope that that never happens. A lot of people. I keep saying this. There's a lot of people negative on. You can put any blank here, blank Oiler here. There's a lot of people negative on Benning. Yeah, you could call me that. That's probably the one player that I continuously go after. But there's a lot of people negative on Dry that would love to give him up for Tarasenko. I personally, what's Draisaitl at 30 goals now? Yeah, he's not worth a penny. Draisaitl's awesome. The guy can pass. He did miss the pass to McDavid though in overtime on the almost 2-on-0. So yeah, let's trade him. You're right, David Truman. Dry is better than Tarasenko. It's not close. That's the I guess the $1 million question is, right, the new GM, whoever that is, do they come in? So the second question that kind of goes with that is when we got an interim GM in Gretzky right now, and apparently the group, do we do they as a group, do they make decisions? Do they make a big trade? And would you make a big trade? Right? Is this something that you would do? Tarasenko is a perennial 30-goal scorer. I'd say they're equal in terms of value. I don't know that they're. Sorry, that was YEG Oilers fan that says that. So to be clear, Tarasenko is a stud, and he's a beauty of a player. I love watching Tarasenko play, but not more than Draisaitl. And I love the Draisaitl-McDavid connection. I don't think they should be playing all the time together, right? But I love that you can go to that line in need and get something out of them, right? There's a definite chemistry that is outstanding. So yes, YEG Oilers fans. So Dries put up 6 goals and 5 assists, centering his own line. I don't know if that's so much about Draisaitl as it is the talent that he's had to play with. And then the other thing is, that's he's played most of his time with McDavid. So, it's 11 points in about a third of the playing time, right? It's definitely a lower average, but I'd say that you take anybody off of McDavid's line and they're going to be a lower average point producer. I think what we saw from Draisaitl last year, and then what what we've seen from him. I even thought the last couple of games he's been good on his own line, but he just hasn't had the talent to go along with it. So there's some definite holes on this team. One of them is obviously on the wingers. Somebody tweeted out earlier today that we had one of the best center depths in the league. If you count McDavid, Draisaitl, and RNH, and it's hard to say that about a team that's doing as poorly as the Oilers, but I don't disagree with that. I think you got those 3 at center, and it's awesome, right? Like it is. We have to have some Let's take Reeder, for example. Dry set him up for the breakaway tonight. And, Part of it's a confidence thing with this team, but that's a point that Dry should get if the right guy has that breakaway, right? McDavid with that beautiful drop to Lucic today. While Lucic got a good shot away, goal scorer right there would have had that in, over 70% of the time. And so the winger depth on this team is sorely lacking. So let's get back. What do you guys think? Do you think that the Oilers should be making a trade at the deadline, or do you think they should hold with what they have? And how much of this depends on where we're at, right? In terms of, are we making the playoffs or not? Which, as I said earlier, I really don't feel playoffs are really going to happen this year. El Show, please do call in 587-907-5483. I've always preferred this show when I've got a chance to chat with other people. So would love somebody you can to call in. If you call in, you're welcome to stay on as long as you want. This is your chance to say what you need to say. I've always I started this the podcast originally as a way to talk hockey with other people, and so tonight I wanted to go live just because I haven't gone live in about 11 days. I want to keep that up, but I wouldn't mind. I didn't have a co-host tonight, so would appreciate if you gave a call in 587-907-5483. Hold until we get a new GM, says Hockey Hunka. That's my feeling. So I guess I should give my opinion on that. My opinion is definitely no moves. In fact, if you're making any moves, unless if it's like 125% obvious that this move makes sense for the team's future, both from a salary cap perspective and from a talent perspective, then you hold on what you have right now. And you hope that as the summer progresses, you see some of these guys develop in Bakersfield. Maybe at the end of the year when we know what we have, if we have, and fingers crossed, but if we have a playoff team, maybe we find that, some of these guys can come up and develop a little bit in the latter part of the season if we're out of the playoffs, right? And, we still don't know what we have in a team. I think it's hard for us because we're losing so badly all the time, and we're in the ways in which we're losing, to not be impatient. But we've got to find a way to have a little bit of patience. And right now, the scapegoat is Chiarelli, right? So when you go back to your friends that are Flames fans and they're Leafs fans, and we even had a Leafs fan listening in tonight, blame it on Chiarelli, right? That's our scapegoat this year. Nicholson and the group gave us a scapegoat. That's why if we don't make the playoffs, it's all Chiarelli's fault. And then as the season goes on, we can, see what we have for a team. Maybe, at Glenn Moss says if Sekera comes off of LTIR, maybe we don't have to make a move. And we don't know. I mean, if Sekera comes back, right, it could be that we get to understand just what kind of team we have, right? And I think that I still go back to, if we had a couple of puck-moving defense, which we don't have. We've had our top two defensemen out for the greater part of 2 years. If we have that in place, then we get a real feel for then we get a real feel for who the wingers are that are really need to go, and then we can build off of that, right? What about Benson? Right? Is he is he ready to come in next year? Right? I really liked Benson preseason and the rookie games. Yamamoto, right? Braley says, but he's not coming back, so then what? And Braley's, I think, right. Sekera is likely not coming back. That's my feeling on it. I think, though, we still have to hold on what we have. We got to find out, right? Find out what we have, find out where we're at as a team, and, hope that hope this team does hope that this team does something over the next little while. I do think that I thought that the Oilers played a hell of a game in Philly. They came in against a team that had a little bit of confidence, that kept coming back in games and kept winning. One slip up, Cam loses his stick in overtime, puck gets into the back of the net. Right, and then of course, Oilers Twitter goes crazy, and this team, who only maybe 15, 20 minutes earlier in the day, Oilers Twitter was saying, why didn't we see this team for the rest of the season? Like, they look great. What was the end shot total of the Philly game? Was 40 shots or 50 shots on net? I thought they played great. And then we didn't close it out. But Philly's been doing that. Sometimes teams need confidence, and when they got that confidence, and I hate to say it, but our favorite enemies to the south seem to have that third period confidence where they just sort of believe they're going to come back in games. You learn that confidence by consistency, through a good coach, through a whole bunch of other things. And we just, we don't have that confidence. In fact, just talk to any Oilers fans, and probably at the end of the second period, one of the, biggest Twitter things that I saw was, can't wait to see how the Oilers screw this one up, right? Like, that's what we think. You think that that doesn't come from anywhere specifically. Oh, I've got Mike calling in, so we've got a caller. Just hold on. Is this Mr. Dursa?
Tis.
All right, awesome. Thanks for calling in and saving me. I don't, as you know, I almost never do this as a solo act. Partly because I don't know hockey well enough to to do it on my own.
Come on.
Yeah. No. You know what? I prefer to have a conversation with somebody because you get a couple of ideas, and it's fun. It's fun that way. But I'm going to keep the callers open. If you want to call in and talk to, I don't know how long you got, Mike, but you're welcome to stay as long as you can. But if you want to talk to Mike or I, you can call in at 587-907-5483. So, yeah, let's talk about trades and what-if scenarios. Mike, what if there was a trade, if there was who's trade bait on the Oilers team, and what would you be looking to do for you?
Yeah. Well, honestly, something needs to happen on the back end. It's not good enough. And there's an obvious problem, like your third pairing. For me right now, Brandon Manning is actually passing Matt Benning, and that is just an ugly eyesore. I think Chris Russell's being forced to be put in positions that, I don't think he can handle it. I think he's okay in a 5-on-5 situation, but in 3-on-3, he's getting exposed. And I like Chris Russell myself, but it just like today, I mean, he was willing to back right into the crease, never wanted to step up and force Montreal to make a play there, and it cost them the game. So you need to do something with your back end. I think, short term, find a way to get Caleb back in the lineup and have him on that third pairing, because he's definitely better than anybody you can put on that third pairing right now. He's not ready for second pairing minutes. That's a given, but he's definitely ready for third pairing minutes. He can do that job. So you already have somebody that can help that out, but they need some scoring punch up front, and you've got to do something. I mean, Tobias Reeder, is he ever going to score a goal again in his career, let alone this year? Like, he's having a hard time. It's rough for him. It was rough for Lucic, but I think he's getting, because he's not slow, so he's in the right position. He's getting the puck in and having glorious opportunities, and he can't get anything done. And I don't think it's a question of if something is going to happen here. I think it's going to happen. I think that's sort of the mandate coming from the very top, that you need to make the playoffs this year. And I don't think that is, I don't think they've backed off that kind of calling since Chiarelli got axed. So I think something does happen. And if you really are going to make a move, I think you can't really afford to wait much longer here. I think you need to do it before the deadline.
So you've got, what do you figure? It's going to be probably 91, 92 points to make the playoffs this year, I think. So we need 40 points, right, out of 30 games. We've got so roughly a 750 percentage, I think.
I'm almost thinking you got to throw the math out the window because of how bad some of these teams in the Western Conference are playing. Nobody's running away with anything here except for Calgary.
Yeah, I agree with you. The challenge I have, and I want to believe in this team, and I am, I'm a tried and true Oilers fan. I've got tickets, I've got everything. I'm, tier 1 fan, guy that, I've got so much Oilers shit that I don't know what to do with half of it. But here's the thing, right? Is as much as I want them to make the playoffs this year, because we desperately need playoffs. I just think that now, given what's happened, right? Chiarelli gone, McClellan gone, new coach, new everything, and the fact that it's not that we are granted only 3 points out, but we're 3 points out and we have to jump over 3 teams. 3 of those teams that we need to jump over have, at least 1 game in hand. St. Louis has 2 games in hand. And then we have to jump over 4 teams, right? Because there's still the, the Canucks who are sitting there who have played as many games as Edmonton right now. While I think it's possible, I think we need to hit probably 91 points. I would say would be sufficient. Like out of all of those teams, somebody's going to go on a bit of a heater, and whoever it is going in. Right, that's the team that's going to make the playoffs. If the secret sauce is Clefbaum coming back, and we look like the team we did before he got injured, 8-1-1 Oilers that happened.
Yeah.
We could be that team. I think we need 40 points, right? And my biggest problem though is I would rather, and I was never one of those fans that wanted to see the Oilers lose, right? Like I would rather we don't, like, even if we're fighting right till the bitter end, I want to see us do what we can, but I also don't want to, mortgage the house on it, right? So, while I completely 110% agree with you on Jones, like when he comes on our team, he immediately pushes out the Bennings and the Mannings of this team, right? Like those guys they're not even in the same caliber, right? In fact, I suspect that Benning and Manning would have a hard time making most teams in the league. Well, Manning did, right? Like, Manning, they got rid of him, basically, right? And nobody wanted him, is my understanding. But Chiarelli took him. But regardless, right? Like I would like to see Jones stay in Bakersfield right now. That 10-game win streak has got to be good for the confidence, right? And Jones is like, he is. If sky's the limit for this guy, and he's got a good pedigree, right? Obviously, his brother is outstanding. I think Jones is the real thing, right? Like I think he's an NHL defenseman. He is right now. In fact, I think he's just maybe a season away from being a full timer, right? I'm just scared. I would be scared to bring him back and then have something happen on this team that ruins his confidence, right? And I would love for him to stay where he's at, build that up in what I guess what I'm saying is I'd be willing to write off the year. While I hope they don't. I'd be willing to write it off to develop some of this younger talent like Benson and Gambardella and Jones and Bear and these guys. But as if the season gets carried away on us, where it's like we're nowhere near a playoff spot, then maybe I'd actually bring those guys up because they know, right, that whatever they do isn't going to make a difference in terms of our playoff chances, right? You get where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you think that we should call him up right now would be your thought, and I'm fine with that. I guess.
If you're really pushing, if you really want to do this, yeah, he gives you the best chance of winning having him in the lineup. I don't see Manning. I don't see Benning. I think he's probably on par with Gravel. I think he's ahead of Petrovic. So. I think Chiarelli jumped the gun by making a double move that day when he brought in Petrovic and Manning, and I think now it's put them in a bit of a spot because there's too many guys for the same positions, and so I don't think it's easy to get Caleb back up. But if you really want to push for the playoffs, if that's really your goal, then yeah, you call him up. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I think he's that much further ahead than all those other guys. I don't think he's ahead of Nurse. I think he's probably on par with Chris Russell. Larson plays a different game, and Klefbom's ahead. But
I thought
Caleb,
when Jones and Gravel played together, I thought they were great as a pairing. What's your thought there?
Yeah, and I think so did the Oilers. So they elevated his minutes and thought he was. He'd be a second pair guy, and they pushed him a little beyond what he was capable of.
Yeah, there was that. There definitely was that where I thought maybe they pushed him a little bit too far, thinking that he was maybe a little bit more ready than he was. He still made some defensive mistakes though, and as much as I love Jones, there were some glaring defensive errors, and while you wouldn't put a whole game on on his shoulders for that, he made some mistakes that you can make those mistakes in the AHL and you get away with them, but you can't make them in the NHL. And he'll learn from that. But that's to me that's the thing that. He's had a bit of a taste of what it's like to be in the NHL. He's going back to a guy that's been an assistant in the NHL with Woodcroft. Woodcroft knows what happened on the Oilers. He knows how to coach him. I think Woodcroft is doing a decent job in Bakersfield. I'm not going to say he's. We had this argument already on Twitter whether or not how much he has to play in the success of Bakersfield and how much of it is the young talent. And my argument is it's a lot of the young talent that's there. But having Woodcroft there for a guy like Jones, I think, is a good thing, right? I think he he helps in terms of that two-way communication with the team and coach. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah. I wonder what the status is going to be of Jay Woodcroft down there in the Bake moving forward. That's an interesting dilemma that's going to creep up in the summer.
Yeah, like, do you think just because of his alignment with McClellan? Is that kind of what's crossing your mind?
A little bit. I don't know what goes through Jay's head. I'd like to see him stay there, but yeah, I wonder if there's, definitely like a loyalty fracture, that went on. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to him a few times. He seems to be quite regular on Stauffer's show.
Yeah.
And he seems all right with it. These guys, like Gullitson's friends with McClellan, right? Like they're, Gullitson, Yanni, and McClellan. They're all Saskatchewan boys from the Hudson Bay area. They've known each other for a long time, but they're working with Hitch now. I think they all have an appreciation for the business of the game. They've all been around it long enough. I'm not sure, in Woodcroft. While I one of the things I suspect is he would have been let go on any other team, but instead got pushed to Bakersfield. And you know what? I think he's done a decent job in Bakersfield. But I think he'll be back. One of the things I put up was and I can only imagine, but imagine Todd Nelson with that Bakersfield team, because he had some relatively unknown talent in Oklahoma City when he was there, and now we've got a really decent team. In their 10-game stretch, by the way, they beat the Barracuda, which is the team that they're behind. That's San Jose's farm team, and now they're they're not. Where are they? They're sitting 3 points behind San Jose. They've got 4 games in hand, but absolutely outstanding. So, and the Barracuda have got a hell of a team this year. But so they, I think they beat them I have to go back and look, but I think it was 7-2 or something. So, obviously, there's some talent on this. Bakersfield team. I think that's good for the Oilers for next year. David Truman says Woodcroft will be a head coach one day. What's your thoughts on that?
I think he's got the stuff to be it. He's kind of one of those young minds.
How old is he anyway? He looks like he's 12 years old, but he's got to be older than that. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, I'm on there.
I've got this whole internet thing set up at my house. I can check anything out.
42.
42. So he's not that young. He looks like he's 12 years old sometimes. Yeah. 42. Wow. Older than I thought. To David Truman, I actually don't know enough about Woodcroft to say. I mean, I've listened to him all the time. He seems all right. I mean, his body of work as an assistant on the Oilers, I think, was questionable. But a lot of that can be attributed to, I think, McClellan didn't actually let those guys have as much say as we thought they had. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm still here with you.
Okay. Sorry, or maybe I said something and you're now you're speechless. What the hell? How do I?
No. I look at Woodcroft's year that they went on their run there. Mike?
Yep, I'm here. Hello? Did I lose you now? Now I lost you. All right. I lost Mike Dursa. I am certain he will call back in. There he is right now. All right. Here we go. That time I did lose you.
I'm back.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Okay, so sorry, you were looking at Woodcroft.
Yeah, I mean, the year they went to the playoffs, it just depends which year you judge them by, because it seemed like our power play was good that year, and last year it wasn't. So I don't really know where I'd score them. You'd probably give them a B plus for the playoff run year, and probably a D minus for last year. So
yeah, and I am curious as to how much McClellan, right? Like how much say he actually let them have, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's always up for debate. It seemed like whatever changes that they would make, he would continuously go back to what he thought was the right thing. Speaking of which, we talk about the power play. We haven't. One of the things. Let's go back to McClellan, because one of the things that I always complained about was how he set up the power play, and because it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed even with Hitchcock, right? I think the second unit has been a little bit better as we go along. They're getting maybe 25, 30 seconds at most, right? They're not getting a lot of game time. And I know, you're right to kind of chuckle a little bit when I say that. I think that they've looked a little bit better than they did originally. But what's your thought? I mean, this power play drives me insane, because let's quote Gary Galley. We put all the Cookie Monsters on the. Oh God, that man drives me insane. We put all the Cookie Monsters on the power play. I can't even believe I just repeated that shit. That was awful. But we've got of course RNH Dry. I think that Chason has been an upgrade over Lucic when Lucic was on there, obviously, but even Chason doesn't seem to be going to the front of the net with quite the same vigor that he was when he first started on the power play. The power play's gone back to looking like what it did before. I think any success we have on the power play, I'm going to put this out there, is not the power play itself, but the fact that McDavid can rush with only 4 players on the ice to defend against him. To me, that's the success we have. We rarely have success how our power plays have success, which is moving things around. We've got a caller. Let's take this before they run away. Although it's a 360 number, so let's just see who it is. I might be muting this call. It might be another spam call. Let's see. Hi, you're on Oilers Live. Who's this? Hello, we've got a caller. 360 caller. Are you there?
Black nigger.
Oh boy. There we go. I knew it. I should know better than to answer that one. I think I've had that one before. Did you hear that by chance, Mike?
I just heard heavy breathing, like somebody was getting intimate, but
yeah. Well, they said something that they probably shouldn't have said. It was racial and not something we agree with on this
okay,
on this
I didn't
program.
get that at all.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that I know better now than to answer this. It's like a 360 number. I banned a couple of them. I don't know why. It must be something to do with this platform that I use. Anyway. 306,
I think, is Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no, not 306. 360. So
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
I don't even know if it's like a real caller or if it's just somebody that. Anyway, some idiots calling in. Anyway,
Hacker.
not
you were
something
saying
we
about
would ever say.
power play.
Yeah, so the power play. McClellan's left. Hitchcock hasn't really made any changes. What's your thought on this? I mean, my personal opinion on the power play, the Oilers power play, is it sucks. Right? We score on it, but I really believe that if you were to go back and look at most of the goals we score, it's because McDavid is so damn good on the rush, and we get them within the first sort of 5 to 10 seconds of entry, rushing the puck in with the goal. It's rarely like puck moving. Like when Philly had their power play, they moved the puck around nicely. They get the rebounds. We've had goals like that, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that's the majority of our goals.
Did you see Montreal's power plays today? I mean, the puck. I mean, I think they only went 1 for 2. I think they only had 2 power plays, but the puck was zipping around. It's moving quickly. The one thing that nobody's been talking about, but I'm going to mention though, is Nurse actually looks really comfortable on the point there, and he's making some plays. His shot really isn't a threat yet back there, but his passing is, and he's long and rangy, and he can keep pucks in that I don't think normally would be. So I don't mind seeing him back there. I think today on the one power play they snuck Lucic on it on the top unit and it went off his shin pads over to Draisaitl. I think that was a power play goal.
Yep, yeah, that's right. I think it was at the tail end of the power play actually. To be fair, it was like the power play. It had just ended. It won't count as a power play goal. But David Truman says Bouchard will get a look on it next season. I think he's right. Bouchard's got a nice, good bomb, and
and he's a good distributor.
Yeah, but it's funny you should bring up Nurse because I was actually going to say before you said that and you beat me to it. But I was going to say the opposite. Because I actually, and it's fine. We disagree. We probably disagree on a whole ton of shit. But the thing is last year I was yelling and screaming to have Nurse on the power play. Like I thought, I think he's got a good shot when he chooses to use it properly, right? But I don't think he uses it on the power play. For one, I agree with you that he distributes the puck. He's got better at that. And the other thing I wanted Nurse on the power play for was sometimes you need a D-man with some speed, right? And so I was, I was looking forward to having that on there. But my biggest problem with Nurse on the power play is, is he just doesn't use his shot. Right? Like he's got the talent and he's got the ability. Just let it go, right? Let it rip.
Yeah.
And if we saw that out of him, if he because right now if I'm watching game tape and the Oilers and I'm going up against the Oilers, I'm not worried about the Nurse shot.
Right.
Right.
You can cheat to one side or the other. You don't have to play him straight ahead because you know he's not going to shoot it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Nurse has the tools to be successful. So here's my thought, and I'm curious about the Twitter folks and your thought on the power play. I love Nuge, probably one of my favorite Oilers of the last 6-7 years. Has he been on the team that long? How long is it? What year is he in? Anyway, since he joined the team, he's been one of my favorite Oilers. But I take him off the power play. I would
really,
yeah, I would keep and only because I would actually like to see Puljujarvi draw in. And as we saw tonight, Nurse even had trouble. Like Puljujarvi's shot is deceptive, right? Like you saw it almost drive through Price tonight, right? Like he's got a nice heavy shot. I would Braley thinks maybe 7 years for Nuge. I'll have to look it up, but anyway, Nuge is and I only qualify that because I don't want people to think I'm ragging on Nuge. I think he's got a good place on the power play, but a second unit, maybe if we had a good second unit too, that would make a difference, right? But put Puljujärvi on the find a way to put Puljujärvi in. I would get a different D-man in there, somebody with the shoot first mentality. And while I dislike the guy as an Oiler, I might put Benning in there in a limited role, like with the express instructions that every time you get the puck, you shoot it on net. However you get it there, you wrist it or you slap it. Who cares? But just get the puck on net, and then have a banger and a crasher out front, right? So you got Puljujärvi, McDavid, Draisaitl, somebody who's going to shoot the puck, and then the banger and crasher out front. And in my mind, that's it's sad to think that the guy I go to is Benning. That's where our defensive depth is right now. Because I can't even think of anybody else to put on there. And a lot of people would, I think, laugh at me for those that suggestion. But reality is yeah. I have got another caller in. You hold on one second. Hold that thought. I'm going to bring this other caller in. Make sure they're real. Have my hand on the mute, and then I want to hear your thought. Hold on. Hi, you're on Oilers Live. Who do we got?
For the Bible tells me so.
Oh man, like we've got this one was a 587 number today though. Wow.
It could have been legit.
Could have been. Let's try it again. No, it's still.
Jesus.
All right, so we've had some. This is awesome. I love it. You know what? I need a real screener. That's what I need. I could do that. My budget's just not big enough to have somebody who can screen calls.
As long as the FCC doesn't shut us down, Mike, we're doing good.
That's right. That's right. So I've had the awful racist comment that was on there, which I'm glad you didn't hear, and I hope nobody heard. It should never be put again. And then we have the little bit of Christian music going on. This is not a Christian music station, though, so I'm going to mute that one. And maybe call in again when the Christian music is down to a minimum. Not that I've got any problem with that. You're welcome to listen to whatever you want to listen to. We're just not going to play it on Oilers Live. So thanks for calling in. Whoever that was. Well, it occurs to me, I am on Periscope, right? So there's a good chance that when I put this number up, that, anybody around the world is seeing what I've got number up there. So I'm taking a number down. And if you're on the Twitter feed, the Periscope feed, or on YouTube or Facebook, and you want to call in, just ask, and I'll give you the number to call in on. And I'll put the thing up momentarily. I have got the same number calling in again, but they don't realize that I've got call display, so we're not. I'm just going to let that one go through. We've had enough Christian music for one episode. All right. At IMMIDOGIP, so I don't know how you pronounce that. Imidogip. Benning doesn't have NHL. Oh, that's the sorry. David Truman says Benning doesn't have NHL caliber skating, but the porn bot also says the same thing with the little happy face and a thumbs up. David, I totally 100% agree with you. I think that this episode, this live episode, it had a little bit of everything on it today. This is why I don't go live on my own very often. Okay, so Mike, back to you. What was your thought on the power play?
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I think the reason why Nurse doesn't shoot is he's afraid of hitting somebody in the shin pads and the puck going back the other way, playing it a little safe. But he's got to let that fly, and then that kind of opens up the middle. And, you know, people start having to honor his shots, so they have to come at him different, and then that should free up other people too. I wouldn't be opposed to going with a little bit more of a gunslinger mentality either. I think Matt Benning has a shot, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing another forward out there and going balls out with 5 forwards.
Yeah. I'd be all right with 5 forwards. So who would you put on there? Would you put Puljujarvi on the first line? First power play unit.
Yeah, I mean, the question is where do you put him? I mean, he's kind of got that big frame, and he could be sort of your net front presence. But if you want his shot, then having him as your net front presence takes that away. So, and usually you want your point man to have kind of that big cannon, slap shot. So, if you're using a forward as that, and you have the Edmonton Oilers to work with, who do you make that guy? That's kind of another question. Yeah, and I don't really have an easy answer for you.
Yeah, no,
was it Cassian that went like 100 plus in the hardest shot, or was it Nurse?
I didn't even. I think it was could have went, but I didn't follow those skills. Yeah, but I think Nurse probably. Nurse.
I think Nurse.
Like if honestly,
he
went over 100. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I can still hear you. I honestly think like Nurse is the right guy. I still contend he's the right guy to have on the power play if he starts shooting. But while he's just holding the puck and distributing it, I think every team in the league has watched the game tape, and they see that coming. I mean, you can just tell by the amount of shots we get on net and where they come from. It's not him. My feeling is when you're playing D on the power play, is you get the puck to the net however you get it there. It doesn't mean that every shot has to be, through the net, right? Like you don't have to put as much wood behind it as a Weber shot, right? It can just be, look at the time tonight, actually, the one Nurse put on net. He didn't get anything on it. He fanned on it, but it led to a goal, right?
Yeah.
Like the reality is in the NHL, most of the goals are scored around the crease, right? And part of the whole, the great part of having, a power play is you get an extra guy in the crease area. Okay, so I don't know if this is the right guy. Same number. I'm going to try this again. This is Steve. Apparently, Steve. We're gonna. Okay, if Steve, first before I put you on, if there's any Sunday music going on, I'm gonna mute you. But I hope we've got the right guy here. Steve, you there?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Was that your number before that called, or somebody else? You were playing the.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, all right, okay. We had a little bit. We had a little bit of Christian music piping in earlier. So good to hear.
No, I just joined.
All right, awesome. Thanks for calling. By the way, are you on Twitter,
Baby,
Steve?
lead me where my trust is
there we
without
go.
borders. Let me walk upon.
What's the same guy? I just muted him. Dude, like, don't call in. I've got a mute button. I can. All right, I'm gonna. That is funny. So I do have the advantage of being able to ban callers. So Steve will have to call in and pipe his Christian music in through a different number if he wants to. But we know, at least now we know there's somebody real on the other end. Hey, who knows? Who knows? It takes all sorts. I've never had so many prank calls in one night. I've had some doozies. One time a kid called about a dead cat. I don't know if you remember that one, but all good. All right. Let's finish this off. I want to finish off by 11:30 tonight before any of these guys call in again. What? Okay. Chicago's up next, right? Tuesday. Is that right? Tuesday. Which, by the way, if you are on the Periscope feed right now, and you don't have tickets to the game on Tuesday, I want you to let me know. If you're on the Facebook feed, the Periscope feed, YouTube, wherever you are, let me know right now if you don't have tickets to the game, and I would be happy to get you a pair. So first person that would like to go to Chicago game, that includes you, Mike. You're already on the line, so you kind of got first dibs. But I know you've got to travel, and it's probably going to be like 50 below, and no block heater is strong enough to withstand that. So if not you, who wants to go to the game? Let's find out what day it is. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. Let me just double check. Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. So I've got a pair of tickets. So Tin Man Scott, hopefully Tin Man Scott, are you able to call in 587-907-5483 and not play any Christian music over my airwaves? If you do that, I will gladly provide you with tickets. So you got a couple minutes. So 587-907-5483. Okay, let's talk about Chicago. First, can you believe somebody, a Canadiens fan who follows me on Twitter, said that the Lucic hit should be suspendable today, the one on Mata. Ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, anyway.
Montreal fans do not like Lucic, so that doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah. I think somebody tweeted back to him with the gif of Lucic in the lineup at after that series there. Scott Tinman, 587-907-5483 is the number if you want to go to the game Tuesday night. You give me a call in. Okay, so what changes would you make? Do you think first? I think Clefbaum's back for Tuesday. Which defenseman is out?
Oh man, if I had to choose, I would do a double move. I mean, I would pull Manning and put Clefbaum and Petro back in.
Yeah. So is Petro? Was he a healthy scratch tonight?
I'm not sure on the healthy front. Didn't he get a knock in the head, or maybe I'm mixed up? But
no, he did before, but I thought he was back from that.
Okay, yeah. So then that's what I would do.
Okay. So Clefbaum's back. You take Manning and Benning out, and you bring back Petrovic. So you've got Larson, Nurse, Russell, Clefbaum, Gravel, and Petrovic. Okay, and forwards. Keep Malone in. Who did Malone subbed in for? Who went out tonight for Malone?
Yeah. Good question. Kara played, right?
Yeah, Kara was in. Jason, Lucci, Cassian was in. Puljujärvi was in. Ratty was in. Reeder was in. Brodziak. Colby Cave was out.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd bring back Colby Cave. I actually, while there were a lot of folks that didn't, I didn't think he's had a bad few games. He's not great, but my other thing is I think Puljujärvi's played really well the last couple of games. I'd like to see them move him a little bit up the lineup.
Well, what has Toby Reeder done to be ahead of Yessi?
Yeah, absolutely. yeah. Like, honestly, I felt like Puljujärvi's had two really good games in a row, with a little bit of, he had Brodziak and Cave the first game, and then he had Brodziak and Malone tonight. And David Truman says Cave has hockey IQ. I didn't mind Cave. I think they wanted to get Malone in though, and so they were going to play him with whoever. So it may not have been so much about Cave as it might have been about getting Malone in. But we've got a couple calls. Tin Man Scott, let's get him on first here. Scott, is
Hello.
that you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, because I've got another person that called in from a 248 number that said said it was you.
Well, 248. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm sure it's just a little bit of hymns, some gospel hymns or something. I've dropped the call. All right, good. So you can go to the game. You're calling in from 306
sure
number.
can, yeah.
Are you coming in from?
Yeah, I live in 306 number.
Okay, perfect. So you're on Twitter. Are you following me on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you need to do is send me a direct message and give me your email address, and I will send those over to you.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, while you're on, though, Clefbaum likely back in on Tuesday. Who do you take out on defense?
Oh, Manning, I would think, if he's still there.
Yeah, if he's still
Did
there.
they-
That's
they
a good
play-
question.
yeah.
They played him tonight. Yeah, he was. He played just typical Manning style. He's broken some collarbones in his life, but never on anybody that we, want him to.
Yeah, never on anyone that we wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. So Manning out.
Please see, phone back. We
And-
need him.
And
Big
would you bring Colby Cave back? We are just talking about that over Malone. Did you watch the game today, by the way?
Vague. Like, it was on in the background. We were doing some other stuff at the same time, but
Yeah.
Colby Cave, I don't know. I'm not sold on him yet, but I don't hate him yet either. So
That's good. Well, you're an Oilers fan, right? You'll have time to hate him.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. You get on the Twitter.
Well, he's
Twitter
at least we
bandwagon.
didn't give anything up to get him. So
That's true. Yeah. No, I've been all right with Cave. All right.
not like Manning.
Oh yeah, Manning. Wow. There is not. I'm yet to find an Oilers fan that is honestly a Manning fan. And in fact, I was one of the holdouts on Chiarelli. Like I was one of the last.
Yeah.
I'll admit to it. I thought, while I agreed that his trades lacked luster and lacked common sense, a lot of times there were a lot of things I thought he was doing reasonably well. Strategy
he did
wise.
well in Boston, other than trading Sagan, I guess.
Yeah, and so I held out on Chiarelli till the bitter end, and despite all the criticism, and but then he made the Manning and Petrovic trades, it's odd that those are the ones that I sort of, changed me. But it occurred to me, I guess, that like he's not learning a thing. He's going to continue to make bad moves.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So happy to see him go. All right. Send me a direct message. Mike and I are going to close it up here. And thanks for tuning in. But yeah, send me your email.
Okay,
and I'll
great.
get those to you and have fun at the game. Are you coming down for the by the way, the Battle of Alberta in Edmonton or in Calgary on April 6th?
No, I don't know if I'll get to that one. No.
Okay, well, make sure you put the word out. We are doing a Oilerslive Cup, so it'll be a full game of Oilers fans at the Max Bell Arena in Calgary. The likelihood is that I'll be picking an adult autism charity, but centered around helping adults with autism. And so if you can, if you watch my tweets, and I'm sure Mike Dursey will tweet about it as well, make sure you help us promote it, and hopefully we raised about $2,000 for Chinook Autism Society at the first one, and hopefully we can beat that the second one. Anyway, thanks, and enjoy the game Tuesday.
All right. Okay, thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, you too. All right, so let's close this down, Mike. What from a forward perspective, what do you want to see on Tuesday against Chicago?
Well, yeah, I mean you can add Colby Cave to the lineup, but I don't think that's making a ton of difference.
No. Agreed, 100%. Doesn't make a difference at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I mind Lucic on the top line, but I definitely know I don't love it. So I don't know if it's time for that experiment to end or not. They're in games right now. They're taking them to overtime. So I guess to be thoroughly disgusted with the 5-on-5 play, I don't think is probably right. They need to start closing games out. Last 2 games in a row, they've had a lead. Going into the third period, and yes, they're getting points, but it's time to get 2 points instead of singles.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, and let's close it off with that, because this is, to me, easily. We've got another call-in user. It might be Eric Friesen. Hold on. We were going to shut her down, but if Eric's calling in, then... but now I'm so scared of picking up the phone here. I need to get a screener. Eric! Which Eric is this?
What's going on, buddy?
I'm glad it's
Am I keeping you guys up late or what?
Well, you bet you are. Yeah, I was going to shut her down at 11:30, but I think we can hold on. And you know what? It's good to hear a real voice on the other end of a call tonight. We've had 2 or 3 prank calls. I keep waiting for Braley. Braley is one of the good listeners out there, and I keep waiting for her to call in and sing us some good old hymns or something. Yeah. No, good to have you, Eric. Of course, I was just talking about the Oilerslive Cup, which I know you're bringing your gear for, right? Because you and I are attending the game together. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured I'd call, and I was told I was drafted over Twitter, but I wasn't told what team I've been drafted to, so I've been kind of sitting here on the edge of my seat the last however many days, thinking, am I am I on Team Mega Thread or am I going to be suiting up for Oilers Live?
Well, we gotta we gotta actually see a body of work first. We might have tryouts or something. And see.
Okay.
You did. I do recall you saying you were a bit like an Eberle type forward. So, because this is going to have like a bit of a playoff mentality, I don't know if I'll have you on Team Oilers Live. A little bit of a burn for Ebs there.
This is your best.
You also have to think of it. It's like a 1-game type elimination, right?
That's true.
So maybe I'm Eberle from the 2009 World Juniors. You never know.
Oh, good point. Good point. All right.
Now, I don't want to boast myself up that much. I might get out there and be just keeping my options open, I guess.
That's probably a good idea. Glenn Ma, who's a fellow YYCer, says, "Oh crap, I'm a Manning like D-man. I won't get drafted now." I know Glenn's going to play as well, so he says he's like Manning. Glenn, you're welcome to play on Team Megathread.
That's right. I need some toughness on the back end.
Toughness on the
That's not the other guy.
Oh man. All right, so we were actually just about to shut it down, and then Mike brought up something that I think was relevant, which is the last two games, and I agree. The Oilers 5-on-5 have probably been about as good as we've seen them all season. Well, at least in Philly, to me that was one of their best games. 5-on-5. And, obviously on the PK, lost it in Philly. Like, what's your thoughts? I mean, as we go into play Chicago, we still got 2 out of 4 points, right?
I like that they're on a point streak, yeah. I mean, that's a start, but they've blown multiple leads in the third period. I mean, we could easily have been talking about a 2-0 road trip here against two teams that are, not great. They're playing a lot better as of late, and Montreal's been a bit of a surprise this season. But honestly, like if I look at the schedule, those are games where you could probably expect to do fairly well. I'm not expecting them to roll into Nashville and win, although they did that earlier this season. But I'm just saying, when you play Montreal and Philly, those are a couple games you kind of expect to have a better chance at getting a win.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree on that. I think that's probably pretty accurate. What I guess so that when I think about this is, we've played now 2, I think, reasonably respectable games 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done something that many of us last year criticized McClellan for not doing, which was play to our strength, which is center depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you keep these guys? Do you keep all 3 centers? How you have them now? Like, do we continue to roll 3 lines with RNH, Dry, and McDavid, or do you is now the time to panic and get Lucic off that top line and do, go back to I don't know what wasn't working before. I think both of you chime in. My personal opinion, which is why I'm saying this, is whether you like Lucic on the top line or not, McDavid still got his points, right? Like, he's still good for 2 points no matter where he is, right? I think keep Lucic up there. And, maybe if I was to make any changes, I might move Puljujarvi up with either Draisaitl or RNH instead of having him in the 4th line, because I thought Puljujarvi honestly has had 2, I thought, pretty strong games with the limited minutes that he's played, But your thoughts, guys?
Do you want Eric to go first or Michael?
Yeah, Eric. Eric, you go first.
Oh, okay. I mean, the Oilers are blessed to have 3 exceptionally talented centers. It's a shame that they don't have enough wingers to really take advantage of all their talent. I think that once they can fill out this roster, that's going to be an ideal plan, although some people see Ryan McLeod as the long-term fit at third-line center. I mean, a lot still to be seen there. But, yeah, ideally I'd love to see McDavid playing with one of them, probably Nugent Hopkins, because I think they think the game so similar, and, they both can skate. They're just offensive dynamic players, and it allows Draisaitl to play second-line center where he's, projected to be long-term anyway. But for right now, they have to think about we have 29 games left. We're trying to get a wild card spot here. Is that going to be really the best way they're going to do it? I guess it gives them a little more talent in the bottom 6 by having Nuge on a third line, but realistically, I think that Hitchcock isn't going to be able to stick with that too long. Their best bet is to just hope that the bottom 2 lines can, even if they're not scoring, just have a neutral effect on the game. Nothing good, nothing bad either. Just come out even on the night, and then you hope that the top 2 lines can carry you more often than not. That's what I would say.
Yeah, okay. I think that's fair. Mike?
Yeah, I think, McDavid might be the only person that can handle having kind of Lucic at times on his line. You can saddle him with a lot of things on this team, and he can handle it, and he can still flourish. I like kind of the dynamic, honestly, though. Him and Ratty, seem to sort of work well together, and then Lucic kind of pounds people behind the net and seems to get pucks, and once they're inside the zone, I don't really worry about them. It's just getting to that point that sometimes is an issue. I think Draisaitl, though, when he's with McDavid, he comes alive, and sometimes when he's a center, I mean, it forces him to skate, which is good, but sometimes I think it kind of lulls him into submission. And Nuge is fine anywhere. You can play Nuge anywhere in the lineup. He's a very responsible player. He always has been, and he finds a way to make things happen. I think the problem is they need some more scoring punch. They do need to find a way to find a guy to come in to help take some of the pressure off. Somebody that can put the puck in the net. There's too many guys that don't get much of anything really done in a game. The question was brought up: who would you rather have at this point, Lucic or Toby Reeder? And for me, it's Lucic. Lucic can play in games where he doesn't get any points and he can still be a factor. Reeder's not much of a factor if he isn't scoring, and he hasn't scored forever. So, he hasn't scored really a goal since he's been here, if I'm right. I think he's got a donut still.
Yeah, no, he's not scored.
Yeah, he hasn't scored.
In fact, he's had breakaways, but I wouldn't even say he's been close on the breakaway. Like he's clearly snake bit, right?
Yeah.
He's a good skater, though. He's getting these chances. He's just not finishing.
Yeah, that's the kind of winger that I play like. I'm more of a Toby Reeder kind of guy. Oh,
there
man.
You go.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing.
Yeah.
If they do get trade deadline and the Oilers are clearly out of it, like let's say they're 7 points out by then, and it doesn't look like they have much of a chance of making the playoffs, I do want them to just provide Jesse Puljujarvi with Connor McDavid the rest of the season. It's something they should have done last year, and I think that it was a huge mistake not to have those two play together the entire time, because at least this way, the season's lost at this point anyway, right? You might as well just take the good with the bad. There's going to be some mistakes, but you might also find out that you've got a real great piece to play with 97 long term. So I hope they take advantage of that and keep those two guys together, because that could be such a dynamic duo if they were ever able to keep those two together for a prolonged period of time, I think.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree with you. What do you guys think that who was giving Hitchcock the gears just before the break about always switching lines? Was it John Shannon? Like
that sounds right. Yeah, Shannon. He's been critical of them in the past.
Yeah, and I feel like Hitchcock all of a sudden decided he was going to keep lines together for a little bit when he got back from the break. He even made a point of mentioning keeping the same lines together for a little while. Like, you think somebody got to him, or he's like, or maybe he heard what everybody's talking about, or maybe the players said, "Hey, I'd like to, stick it out for a bit." Or I just think it seems to me like he's got a new philosophy where he's kept for 2 games he kept the lines the same. We have not seen that from him, right? Have we seen 2 consecutive games with the same lineup?
No, he changes quite frequently, even in game. And I mean, we used to think Todd McClellan did that a lot. Hitchcock does it too. I don't think that that's necessarily because of their coaching style. I honestly think it's just because this team is so depleted for talent. They have to try and switch it up to find some combination of lines that works on any given night.
Yeah.
Can I get a bingo?
Yeah, you do. We're on last words now, guys. It's quarter to 12. So I'm going to give you guys the last words of the night before we shut it down. Here's my last words. As I said earlier, if you were listening or if you weren't, I think that the Oilers, as they are, I think it's, if I'm to be honest with myself as a fan, I think it's very unlikely we're making the playoffs. I think, while we're only 3 points out, unless if Clefbaum comes back and we're the 8-1-1 Oilers that had Clefbaum in the lineup, then we're not making the playoffs. And so my hope is that when Clefbaum returns, we find some of that magic. This team gets a little bit of confidence and goes on a run. Whether they do or don't, I hope that as we approach the trade deadline, I hope the Oilers stay the Oilers as they are right now. And I think that this team has, the foundations to, and this is where a lot of people disagree with me too. I think this team has the foundations to be a playoff contender next year. And then also, if you get the right GM, a shrewd GM in place, that there'll be more than that next year and possibly the year after. I'm not really apocalyptic like some people are on this team. I just think we're in a really bad spot as far as the playoffs go. I'll still go into every game, obviously cheering for a win, but maybe I'm trying to tell myself so I'm not so disappointed when the end of the season comes. All right, that's my last thought. I think Chicago is, as every game will be down the stretch, but Chicago will be a really important game, and I really hope we see Clefbaum back, manning out, and as you said, Mike, and maybe Eric, do you know where Petrovic is? Was he just a healthy scratch?
I believe he was today, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'd like to see Petrovic back in, Manning and Benning out, Gravel and Gravel back stays in. I'm a big Gravel fan, despite what Oilers management and coaching seems to think of him. But I'd like to see him in every game till the end of the season. All right, rock, scissors, paper. I'm going to give Eric, I'm going to give you last word tonight. So, Mike, your last words.
Yeah, we got 30 games to go. And to this point, really, I think all season they've had 2 kind of substantial winning streaks. I think it's going to take 2 more of those to get into the playoffs. And I'm kind of in the Kevin Garnett, anything is possible world right now. I don't think the Western Conference is, I think teams will get going, but I don't think they're lights out. So I don't think we're sort of buried alive yet. They're in the hunt. They just need to get it going. The question is, will they? And I wish I had an answer for the folks at home, but I don't. I haven't really seen anything that gives me kind of supreme confidence that they're going to get it done. But I haven't. I've liked what I've seen since kind of the break, and that's kind of surprised me a little bit. So they need to get a win from Tuesday and start from there.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And Eric, you get the last word tonight.
Okay. Well, appreciate that. And it's been great listening to you guys, too. I didn't realize the show was on until about 10 minutes ago, so I just tuned in a little bit before I called. But, they got a chance. Right now, they're 3 points out of a playoff spot. There's 4 teams just outside the cut line who all have either 52 or 51 points. So it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think that the Canucks are going to make it. I don't think the Coyotes are going to make it or the Blues are going to make it. I think it'll either be the Oilers or the Avs, and they're separated by 1 point right now. So, like I said, there's 29 games left. We all have about the same amount of games. So if they can come out and put together some sort of string that we saw earlier in the year, then they definitely have a chance. But they can't have any more of these 5-6 game losing streaks, because if they have another one, they're going to be absolutely out of it. You think if they would have avoided if they would have even went something like 2-4 on that 6-game losing streak at the end of December, they'd be still in a playoff spot right now. So that just shows how much one bad skid can affect a team. And I really think, like you mentioned, if they can pick up someone that can give them some offensive punch, they'll be in a lot better shape. But it's not over. There's still a long run here, and I have a hard time betting against a Connor McDavid-led team, even if they have been severely depleted by Peter Chiarelli.
And, you can't have the last word without adding Chiarelli in there. Awesome.
Yeah, why did I have to mention it? You want the last word of the night to be Chiarelli. See, that's my bad. That's on me, guys.
All right. Okay, I'm going to put the end screen on. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's call. We still have McDavid. I'm going to put the end screen on, guys. Thanks for calling in. Maybe stay on for 2 minutes. I'll chat with you when it's safe. Your mics are staying hot, so feel free to sing some Christian hymns or whatever you got while we're closing this out. Thanks, everybody, for listening.